Welcome back. Well, yes, indeed, we still have Promise Adewusi, who is the Deputy President of Nigerian Labour Congress, as we take a look at some issues on Workers' Day concerning you, possibly. Well, yes, we're going to ask him, tell us about the relevance of labour in the scheme of things at the moment, especially as it has to do with workers in this country.
Well, the labour is still very much relevant in the scheme of things, and that's why everybody wants to consult or, as it were, interface with labour. We have done our best to adopt the principle of social dialogue in advancing the welfare of our people, and by necessary extension defending and protecting the civil liberties of Nigerians. What people do not know, or what people want to see, is constant road shows. But the road shows, as they are, as important as they are, do not necessarily bring the kind of outcomes that are required to enhance the welfare and well-being of our people. Rather, we have decided to engage in constructive dialogue where we make paramount the welfare and well-being of our people, as well as the protection of the constitutional rights of Nigerians. What we do is that we engage with research, and we produce papers and engage government. Most times this happens behind the scene. Right now, everybody is seeing the price, the tariff of telecommunications tumbling down. People probably have also not wondered how this came about without protests on the streets. Of course, the minimum wage, we didn't have to go on a prolonged strike to have that done. And we've had several other interventions that are too numerous to mention. Of course, you saw the fuel issue when it came up, the fuel subsidy issue. Something ordinary that probably would have taken about 3 weeks or so. You see how quickly we got it down, and without, as it were, pulling down the Nigerian nation. So these are some of the things that people see, and there's this misconception that labor, of course, the ILO in its conventions actually advocates social dialogue, that is collective bargaining, and we are engaging in a whole lot of that. And most collective bargainings are not done on television or pages of newspapers. I think our people are better for it. However, we are still now, with this centenary approach, we are moving into the next phase. Of course, we have a whole lot of casualization and outsourcing going on. This is detrimental to the welfare and well-being of our people, and in fact, it's against the spirit and even the letter of our Constitution, because it dehumanizes these Nigerians who slave to render services only to be paid peanuts and is engaged at will. So we're going to move into a phase where we will be campaigning for the boycott of the services or products of such companies who are persistently and consistently engaging in outsourcing and also casualization, because we think that this is anti-labor. So that's the next phase that we want to face now. And of course, we've already rolled out our plans to organize the informal sector, because without bringing them under the embrace and umbrella of the organized labor, it becomes a little more difficult to really help them in their welfare drives.
What kind of research do you do? I mean, you talked about doing research in the background, it's not in the front burners. What do you do, and what do you do with the research?
Yeah, the research is to help us, one, engage employers. Of course, you know that, like they say, the era of banging the table is gone. So we confront you data by data, statistics by statistics, to prove our point. Of course, we have a whole, For instance, the Nigerian Labour Congress, we have a full department for research, headed by well-heeled academics and practical researchers. Their job is to look at, for instance, we know that most figures that come out of the Federal Office of Statistics are what? They are political figures. We have our own figures with which we engage government and other employers. It's like when we talk about unemployment, you have all kinds of figures and all kinds of percentage be real. That when we talk about the interest rate, when we talk about the growth in the economy, you have people say the economy is growing at 9% and all of that. Of course, if all these things are happening and you don't have jobs being created, and of course you don't have food being put on people's table, that kind of statistics must be questioned. Therefore, we provide for ourselves to enable us engage more strategically and effectively. We engage in this research to find out in our own ways, also using benchmarks that are globally acclaimed, to find out exactly what is happening in the housing deficits, for instance, in all kinds of things. So that's the kind of research we undertake. It is not research for academic purposes. It's research for practical purposes that we deploy in our engagement. And that is why you have seen that we get a little more result these days over negotiations across the table.
You know, that's an area where some Nigerians were overtly critical about labor because they thought that you were not doing anything, that you just come up and then you call workers to the streets. At the end of the day, they just get ₦1 difference from the pump price and that's it. Now, how come, and correct us if you will, has there been any policy statement from labor lately as a result of this research from you?
Yeah, of course, yes. Yeah, because if you look at the tariff we pay for GSM, vis-a-vis the quality we receive and all of that, it's not commensurate. If you also look at, we have provided Nigerians with alternative figures, particularly as it relates to these fuel subsidy interventions by government. As against, and all of these had helped the process that the House of Representatives engaged. And of course, you know that week in, week out, we are involved and engaged in public hearings in both chambers of the National Assembly and to some extent in the states, where we make interventions that affect the quality of the bills that come out. All of this wouldn't have been possible if we hadn't had our research department and if we hadn't had strategic planning on how to engage some of these policies. So what people are not seeing so often, unfortunately, is the road shows. But like I said, the road shows as they were without effective engagement. Because everything, the road shows and everything, it must end on a table where you have to negotiate, where you have to go into social dialogue, collective bargaining. And if you don't have your facts and you don't have your statistics right, you don't have your data, you're not going to be able to engage the government or the employers for that matter. So these are some of the things that happen. That's why it looks like we run through certain policies. Okay, look at the pensions, for instance. We were supposed to have gone on a semi-national protest over the pension, but you see how the whole thing collapsed. And within a few hours, we had got all the demands sorted out because we had researched our data and we had come out with unassailable facts that government accepts. Of course, they were just, if they wanted to be human, could not controvert. And that's what led to all of those. But again, when people see that this is got this easy, they think something has happened behind the scene. But that is the focus, that is the drive of the current leadership of the Congress. What is paramount in our